Good morning, everyone. Karolina, how are you doing? Let's see. Good morning, everyone who's jumping in. Karolina, can you hear me? No. Okay, we'll wait a little bit more, but good morning to everyone, and welcome to the iGaming breakfast chat here. This super nice to have you guys with us here this morning again for another exciting hour this morning together. We're still waiting for Karolina to pop in here, waiting for Nico to pop in here as well. But in the meantime, good morning to you, Bogdan. How are you?
Hello, good morning. I'm very fine. Thank you, Pierre. Hope you are doing well on this lucky 13th.
Yes, I didn't even think about that. Yes, it's Thursday, lucky 13th today. At least it's not Friday, so we have that going for us, which is good. Yeah, everything is fine here. Malta has gone from winter to summer in 2 seconds. It feels like so. It's a peak summer here now, and we're just trying to enjoy the weather, and things are opening up a bit again, and it feels like it's kind of like we're heading towards a bit kind of light at the end of the tunnel in some sense. I don't know how the feeling is in Poland, Bogdan. If you're based there, right?
Yes, I'm based there, and the situation slowly, the sun is shining outside, at least in some part of the country. But for the last 2 days, we had quite a good weather, and also, the vaccination process is in progress. We have less infections as we used to have for the last couple of weeks and months. So the situation stabilized somehow, and people are looking naturally a little bit more optimistic into the future, especially when the spring is in its full glory, and also everybody is looking for the summer and the upcoming big events for the summer, of course. But that is something what I prefer to wait and see if actually there will be no disturbances.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? Because here in the West, it really feels like we are coming out of the pandemic, but you still have to remind yourself that globally we are still hitting like record cases, and it seems like it's going to take years before the vaccination process is done. And if that is going to curb the virus, it's not even clear. I was reading now in New York Times that in the US they are now kind of accepting the fact that they are not going to be able to reach herd immunity. It's not enough people who want to take the vaccine, and they are kind of preparing themselves for having the virus circulating for the next couple of years, albeit with a lot lower cases than obviously what we've seen in 2020. But it seems like the world just have to kind of adjust to the fact that the virus will be with us for some time. But that is another topic for another day, I think. Karolina, are you here as well? Good morning to you. Still waiting for Karolina to pop in with the mic, but Nico, you are here, I think.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here already listening to what you and Bogdan have been discussing. And as you mentioned, this is quite an interesting topic with respect. A lot of other Clubhouse rooms are discussing this. So it's something we need to get along with for quite a long time.
Yes, absolutely, Nico. And as a little introduction today to everyone, again, just want to welcome everyone to the iGaming Breakfast chat. This is an open conversation today, so that means that we are not sticking to a particular topic here in this hour today, but we are leaving the mic open for whatever interesting facts and comments and news that we want to share during the day. And it also means that you are more than welcome to put up your hand here. You do that by clicking the little hand button, and that will basically allow you access here on stage, so you can actually contribute and ask questions and so on and so forth. So feel free, if you like, to put up your hand, and you'll be able to join us here on stage. I also want to mention that the session today is being recorded. by our lovely Martin here, who is in the audience, and it will be published later as well on LinkedIn, YouTube, and so on and so forth. So good for you guys to be aware of that. And in the meantime, I'm talking to Karolina here on the side as well. She's saying that she's having a little bit problems to speak. So feel free, Karolina, just to exit and come back, and I'll make you a moderator.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Now we can hear you. Hey, good morning,
Okay,
Karolina.
I restarted. Hi everyone. Sorry about this. I don't know why, but I restarted the app and now it's all good.
Brilliant. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thank you. We have a similar situation in London where we had the last week of really nice weather. Things opening up here. They've announced the traffic light system for some countries. Unfortunately, at the moment, it doesn't really change much when it comes to traveling, especially for me. Is it me making these noises, or is it the other guys? Because I'm freaked out that I have technical problems today.
No, it wasn't you, Karolina. You're all good. Well,
yeah, so I think things are getting better. But for example, I actually looked at the Sigma Summit in Dubai, and I was wondering whether I can make it there because it looks interesting. But Dubai is still on the red list for UK, which means that coming back from Dubai, you'd need to do 10-day quarantine in a hotel. So yeah, no thanks. There is no conference in the world that I would want to go that much to.
Yeah, which is as opposed to Malta actually, where the Dubai is on the green list actually. So I'm heading over to Dubai actually on the 21st of May, I believe, or 21st to 22nd or something like that. For the there are a couple of different summits that are taking place. So it'll be interesting to see how they are dealing with COVID, how they're dealing with restrictions. But yeah, looking forward to go to my first conference now in like 1+ year. So that would be exciting. So before we kick off today, Nico, I know that you have kind of rounded up the news a bit for us today. What's the latest and greatest of the industry in the last week?
So this week's wrap up is quite packed, and I will just touch down shortly on all the headlines. So first of all, the FanDuel CEO Matt King has stated that or announced that his intention to step down from his role, and he wants to leave business, which might affect the delaying spin-off plans or delay the spin-off plans. And then handing over to you, Pierre, because you have some interesting news about evolution and the share prices.
Yeah, it was a pretty spectacular day the other day on the Swedish OMX stock exchange because one of the major shareholders in Evolution announced that he was selling off about 20% of his shareholding, and this just absolutely spooked the shareholders. And Evolution had its biggest drop ever the other day of more than like 15%. And which actually accumulated to one of the biggest drop ever on the Swedish stock exchange, and it pulled down the entire stock exchange with it. Obviously, investors got a bit spooked, and it didn't help that the biggest financial newspaper in the Nordics reported that Evolution had tried to hid the news from the shareholders about the sell-off of these shares, which turned out to be just absolutely untrue. But shareholders got spooked, and I know that many of the big players of the iGaming industry were buying Evolution shares the other day because obviously they felt that the stock market was acting irrationally. But yeah, so yesterday the Evolution share recovered 5%, but it's still down 10% since the news. So yeah, back to you, Nico.
Yeah, I was just unmuting. So another thing we've seen. So the Svenska Spel is kind of following the Kindred group approach with sharing their insights about the harmful gambling revenue mix. I'm pretty sure this also leads the overall industry to taking another look at what kind of revenue might based or might be based on harmful gambling. So this is another shift we are seeing of the overall gaming industry as well. Heading over to the US, because especially in the US, we've seen big things with 3 more states being interested in opening up the overall state to sports betting licenses, the licensing process. So Washington, the state of Washington already agreed on gaming compacts with the Carousel and the Snoqualmie tribes. So these are 2 tribes, Indian tribes, which offer sports betting as well. Then we are seeing Louisiana. The Louisiana Senate House has passed the betting tax bill, which actually means that they will be opening up for sports betting licenses as well. And we've seen the Ohio bill as well, which would lead to legalizing sports betting as well. So 3 more states in the US, which is quite an interesting story, as we are already seeing big numbers from the states which actually allowed sports betting, and there are 3 more rising stars which we can see on the horizon. And there's also something new about DraftKings, because they stated that they have plans, or how their plans actually look like, to expand their business outside the US, which is also an interesting story. Another thing which we've seen last week in the US is that Bragg Gaming enters the US market with a 30 million acquisition of the Spin Games. Also quite interesting, and we see that taking this into account, that there are 3 more states legalizing sports betting, so the numbers and the M&A activities will just increase in the short term and long term as well. From a legal point of view, another topic which we already touched on is the football index. As of now, 4.5 million pounds as the player funds have been raised during to high court. So it looks from this perspective, we will see some of the money being refunded to the player. Another legal thing which we've seen last week is the Malta Financial Services Authority, the MFSA. They granted a license to the crypto payments provider MoneyBite. So I'm pretty sure that this is one of the first licenses being given out to one of the payments provider by the MFSA. And another topic which we touched on last week during the call with Robert as well is that the MGA is about to announce giving out a certification process for slot games, which will be offered within the German market. And one big breaking news is Elon Musk just tweeted 9 hours ago that Tesla will no longer accept Bitcoin as a payment method. I'm pretty sure Tim has his thoughts about this as well. So I'm just leaving the stage open, and I'm just thrilled to see what kind of topic will be picked up.
Yes, why don't we start on that note? As you mentioned, Nico, we have the second biggest, I would say, influencer in the world, Elon Musk, tweeting out that Tesla is not going to support Bitcoin due to the power consumption that Bitcoin takes, and this immediately caused a 12% drop in Bitcoin. However, on this very stage, on the iGaming Expert chat, we have the biggest influencer in the world, Tim Heath. So Tim, why don't you tweet out something to counter this, to bring Bitcoin back up to its normal levels?
If I was to tweet something out now, it would be, Ellen, why are you the proponent of a pump and dump scheme like I've never seen before in my whole life? Are you not a child anymore? And if you have that kind of power over the market, why aren't you being responsible and being a sensible actor? Because to go and pump up Dogecoin like he has, and with this massive following of the Wall Street beats type people, and then just, remember he put a hashtag out that Bitcoin, Tesla will accept Bitcoin to accept Bitcoin for payment. The price goes up. He then said he's not going to accept that the price goes down. What game is he playing? Why is he on Saturday Night Live talking about Dogecoin? And there's a huge anticipation. What it shows to me is the continued improvement and exposure and leverage influencers have over not just the gaming industry, but also world economies. And what a scary world that we live in, that one person can write 14 characters on some internet medium channel and change the market cap of different companies and stocks. Don't forget, Elon Musk was also tweeting about Tesla many years ago. And talking about some insider trading, which the SEC fined him $500 million. So one would hope he would learn his lesson and become a good actor in society.
Yeah, you would think so. It seems like there's two games that are being played here, which on the one hand, it's kind of Elon Musk being Elon Musk in his like kind of like his troll character, and then on the other hand, the statement that went out today was clearly a drafted statement by Tesla lawyers and stuff like that they are being pushed out. Daniel, you've been hiding here for a couple of weeks in a horrible place in the Maldives. I feel bad for you and all of that, but first of all, have you been able to recontemplate your views on NFTs, and what do you make of this tweet this morning?
Fortunately, I didn't have to talk about NFTs for 2 weeks in the Maldives, so it was good 2 weeks. Don't you think Musk has a point though? Like proof of work crypto it's quite antiquated in the sense that the world is moving towards more energy efficient models, and like the energy usage of proof of work model is terrible, right? When there's other models out there that don't use so much energy. So he's got a point. I get that he's ridiculous as an individual. He's like the McAfee of the modern world because he's just pumping shit coins and everyone's just following him like blind chickens. But he's got a point, and I feel like we probably need to start taking energy consumption more seriously in the crypto space. Because it is unregulated and it's to a certain degree internationally, and people are just seeing this as a easy way to make money. Who's actually going to start taking responsibility for the energy consumption?
Yeah, and this seems to be the shift. If I understand it correctly, it's also Ethereum is moving from proof of work to proof of stake, just for this very reason as well. If I understand it correctly, for the energy consumption and to lower gas fees and so on and so forth. So with that in mind, Daniel and Tim, do you guys think that for environmental reasons, could this be a threat to crypto in general?
It should be. I know, years ago, the big farming houses were moving away. Were trying to find more energy efficient or renewable energy sources. So we've seen these like crypto farms popping up around hydro dams and strange places because energy's, it's the biggest factor on the profitability of mining. So I think there's always been conscious there, but more an economic side of things about trying to make the most margin out of it. But I think at some point it needs to become very conscious in the sense that the world's moving towards renewables and crypto needs to move along with it if it wants to be the economy of the future.
Yeah, I agree, but don't forget, guys, Bitcoin is only 10 years old, and it started out, mining, using electricity, and not being good for the environment. It's the first layer. The second layer, the third layer, the fourth layer of crypto coins as a theoretical concept will improve, and the market will dominate how all this works. What's really interesting, I'm obviously from Australia, so is Daniel, and whilst you have this sort of push towards renewable energy, the Australian government have now decided to tax people who drive electronic cars in Australia or electric cars in Australia on a per kilometre basis because they're not going to make enough money from the petrol tax in the first place. So, yes, we've got a responsibility, but what on earth are the governments doing in the first place? They're only worried about the bottom line tax dollars at the end of the day. So It's there's a bit of hypocrisy there, if you ask me.
In Spain, we have to pay premiums for using solar energy that we might farm from our own houses. But like you're saying with crypto, this is kind of phase one of getting rid of fossil fuels, I suppose, and we need to pay the price in the short term.
For sure. On another note, moving on from crypto and blockchain, I have a question, especially for you, Daniel, who are laser focused on the US market. DraftKings have been overperforming in their quarterly report. They beat the analyst expectations on nearly every metric. Things are looking very positive, and still the share price of DraftKings have dropped like 30% over the last month. So question to you, Daniel, is do you have any indication of why that may be? Is there any worries about the US market in general, of where it's heading, or what do you make of this in general?
Well, they're a special case, DraftKings. I mean, they're being priced at ridiculous multiples of future earnings still. Like they're still probably around the 30 times mark. I haven't looked at their ratios recently. I think this is actually a sign of the bigger picture in the US and post-COVID recovery, and the fact that casinos now are starting to open up. So people that are investing into the space have now got great investment opportunities in Wynn, MGM, and the big casino groups. They're now starting to open up, and they're starting to see also starting to get good returns on their digital licenses as well. So I think people who have been focused on the States are thinking, okay, cool, well, DraftKings has been pumping for a while. It floated at whatever it was, $12 or something. It went up to 80 or whatever. People have made a lot of money. Is it sustainable? Is it long term at these valuations? I think it will settle down to a more natural place. I think even in the early days, the natural price point was somewhere between $30 and $40, and it's just got out of control, really. So I think we're just seeing a normal correction there, to be honest. And I think we're just also the investors are seeing a lot more opportunity in brick and mortar casinos, and also some of the more smaller cap gaming brands that are either coming up through SPACs or going. There's growing operators who are looking to list in, say, Canada and cross-list over, and there's lots more opportunity now than there was, even 6 months ago when everyone was going crazy for DraftKings.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I mean, this also begs the question in general, there's been kind of this gold rush on the stock market during the last year. But it seems a little bit that it's lost momentum now. On the crypto side, it's been stagnant for the last 1 or 2 months. On the stock market as well, we haven't really seen any major increases.
Everything's suffering right now. I mean, if there's inflation worries, the VIX, the VIX index, if anyone follows that, not the most interesting index, but it's one worth following. It's up and down, up and down. I think we're seeing a lot of steam being blown off the market right now in general, and there's a big pullback. Unemployment figures everyone's keeping an eye on. I think this is just also like a bit of a micro trend in a bigger macro trend of the economy going through potentially reaching a peak for a while. I mean, it's so out of line with what's actually going on in the world. So I don't know if this is necessarily a sign of the gaming industry, which I think is just still going from strength to strength, particularly in the US. The numbers are still wild. New states are coming online. Regulations moving really quickly now. I still believe there's a huge short to medium term opportunity for gaming investment in the US. It's just about picking the right business, and also keeping in mind that there's a lot more economic factors at play right now, especially in the US.
So this theory that the industry kind of got this like slingshots due to COVID restrictions, people having to be at home and so forth. You don't think, Daniel, now as society is opening up again, that is going to affect the industry negatively, as the market seems to believe?
Like I said, I think there's still tons of opportunity. I think mobile gaming is obviously here to stay. I don't think anyone could argue that. But obviously, as the retail industry opens up and the laws start changing, and people, the US states are already dropping mask laws, and everything's opening up again. There's now people are reconsidering where all the investment goes into the market, and retail, brick and mortar casinos will start trying to claw their way back into being profitable again. But I think the last year was incredible for the iGaming industry in the US, and it's certainly accelerated things potentially, let's call it maybe a year to 2 years of what people had expected. But also the projections in general are ridiculous compared to what they were 2 years ago. You know, we're talking about going from a $19 billion projections to, I think we're at 65 billion now for over the next, I forget the time frame. Let's call it 5 years, 10 years. I forget. There's probably some analysts on the call that can give us some better numbers there. But yeah, we've definitely been slingshot into some incredible numbers here, and I don't see that really slowing down.
Yeah, so you could make the argument basically that a lot of the kind of brick and mortar clients that traditionally played in-person casinos move to online, and they are kind of not going back. You could make the argument here that the part of the larger transition into digital.
100%. Yeah, look, brick and mortar casinos make a ton of their money from F&B anyway, and entertainment and all the other parts of their business, but they are still, as investment opportunities, they're still competitors, because a lot of people will look at, say, DraftKings stock as a competitor to MGM stock, when potentially it's not at all. One's a brick and mortar retail business with entertainment and concerts and F&B, and one's a pure online sports betting / fantasy play. So maybe it can be a bit confusing to try and compare investment opportunities when it's they're a bit like chalk and cheese.
Yeah, it's almost like the changing of the guards this year in some sense. On the if you look at the market caps of the biggest gambling companies in the world, so if you look at the biggest market caps in the world at the moment, at its peak now before Evolution dropped, Evolution had the second highest market cap in the world of any gambling company, only behind Sands in Vegas. And I spoke to Todd Haushalter about it, the CPO, and he is convinced that Evolution will be will take the highest market cap in the world, and they are tightly followed by Flutters, for example. The DraftKings are getting up there as well. So it really feels like it is like the changing of the guard.
Evolution, I believe Evolution and brands that are in the live casino space will absolutely kill it in the US when states like New York and Texas open up. We're seeing such strong signs in iGaming states in the US for the opportunities of live casino, that I think those companies like Evolution will be maybe some of the most profitable and have the best ability to capitalize on these big mega states, the big four, when they open up, New York, Texas, Florida, and maybe one day California. But if I was going to put some money into a business, apart from my own, obviously, which I think is the best investment opportunity in the market right now, I'd definitely be looking at some of these supply businesses, particularly in the live casino space.
I'll send you a pitch deck, Daniel.
Carousel Group number 1, Evolution number 2. Is there any other comments on this movements on the stock market in general? Does the panel believe that the iGaming industry will still have a equally bright future as people return to some form of normalcy here? Perhaps Karolina, you'd like to chime in here.
Sorry, what's the question? I'm following, but I didn't understand the question, the last one that you asked about.
No problem, Karolina. It's basically the ethos of the conversation is we've seen the iGaming industry obviously getting massive slingshots since COVID restrictions came into place as a part of this larger trend of the world moving to digital. But do we believe that this trend will continue after we return to normalcy?
No, so I wanted to add something when you were talking, because I actually think that we can compare this a little bit to the start of the mobile revolution, where a lot of people thought that the mobile gameplay is going to cannibalize desktop gameplay, but it actually turned out that it was incremental gameplay to a large extent. So I think we're going to see a very similar thing here. I think some of the trends that will not be turned back is the cross-sell from sportsbook to casino. There has been a tremendous amount of sportsbook players trying casino for the first time in the absence of sport betting events to bet on, and I think a lot of them liked it and will continue playing. That's one thing. And the second thing is that I don't think that people are going to go back to it's almost like you try the online shopping once and you find the convenience of it. You're not necessarily going to go back to shop in a supermarket just for the experience of it and in being brick and mortar. So I think the land-based casinos are going to hit massively by this, because whereas Vegas has something to offer when it comes to entertainment value, and you go there not just to gamble, but for many other reasons. Land-based venues in other states where the entertainment value isn't as high and it isn't really a destination to go for holidays as much, are going to be hit by this. I can't see them going back to the performance from the past, even especially that a lot of older demographic that would be hesitant to move to digital was forced to move to digital, and much more effort has been made to make it easy for them. So this is a demographic that it's going to be very difficult to convince to go back to the original land-based venues. So I think we have bright future in terms of digital growth of our offerings, and I think some land-based are going to suffer from that. That's my assumption, I guess.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karolina. And another perspective we have, Robert, you're obviously based in Germany here, where the landscape is a little bit different, so you might come with a different perspective here. What's your opinion on the whole of the segment now as we move into the future? And I know that you are working really hard to also kind of get around this problem with the turnover tax and so on and so forth. And I know you have some really interesting solutions. So feel free to share what you think is the future here.
So thank you, Pierre. Good morning, everyone. I think there's two things happening at the same time in Germany, and that really accelerates. And that's part of, I think I see some pictures as well, is you have the pandemic, and obviously people, keep a certain behavior, so they're going to stay with online rather than offline. And I looked at some data which was shared with me. What was very interesting to see is retention. So the big bunch last year of like March, April, first lockdown, which came online to some operators, had a totally different retention than the regular sort of influx of customers. So it seems it was a very different group of people. So offline players trying it for the first time, maybe for the second time in their life. And obviously that's like back in the day in the early 2000s when you had a lot more sort of loyalty and people weren't used to jumping around to many brands yet. So you have these two things at the same time happening now in Germany this year, with the regulation coming into force likely 1st of July, and at the same time the pandemic, which both of these sort of move players into the online world. And yeah, lots has been said about the turnover tax and the trouble in Germany. I think enough maybe has been said about it already. I'm not sure, but I think Germany we see maybe there will be data next year. Probably the biggest shift from offline to online in Europe in terms of online gambling, because of the two things happening at the exact same time, and both push players into online, because Germany is also very conservative, so the media doesn't portray online gambling really well. There's a lot of negative discussion about even the media, although it's very sort of, let's say, state friendly, let's say, or restrictive. The media still is not liking that it's now legal to gamble, although the media obviously doesn't understand the MGA setups and the former Gibraltar setups and so on, which were from our iGaming standpoint, viable setups, let's call it like this. So a lot of things are happening at the same time, and I think that will really accelerate the shift from offline to online. And next year's data to look at will be interesting, and hence I'm quite positive about the German market, because lots of offline to online movement, probably the largest change in that percentage we will see in compared to any other European market, I think.
If I can just use this opportunity as well that we're talking about COVID and the impact on the industry, I see my grandfriend Kelly in the audience from All in Diversity. So I wanted to take a moment to just encourage all of you guys in the audience to fill in the survey that All in Diversity is running. They are running a survey to collect data on the impact of COVID on the employees specifically, and on employers. So I think it's a great opportunity to get some meaningful data out and understand the impact that this had on our industry from a perspective of those who work in it. Sorry for a plug-in here, but I think it's for a good cause. So if you head to Kelly's profile on LinkedIn, you'll see the survey link over there.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Karolina, and nice to see Kelly here in the audience as well. And I would be super happy to invite Kelly actually to stage if she would be willing and keen to share a bit more details. But no pressure here, Kelly. Feel free to join if you like. Otherwise, we'll continue. Okay, we see her that Kelly is coming on stage, I believe. Let's see.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Good morning, Kelly. Feel free to explain a bit more about the survey.
Yeah, so the survey is it's 5 to 10 minutes, but we over the past year have been hearing loads of stories, have been reading reports by McKinsey and similar, saying that various groups have been impacted by the pandemic, so various underrepresented groups, but also things like practice and policy and working environments have been impacted. So we decided that we would do a survey to paint a more clear picture and measure the net effect that it might have in particular areas that would affect diversity and inclusion. And so that we can find early on if companies are investing in that, or if companies are looking to change their practice and policy, that they have a clear picture of what is actually, happening in our industry. From a financial perspective, as well as from a people perspective and mental health and all those sort of things. So I will like Karolina said, thank you for that plug. I will happily share. I don't think I can share it here, but I will happily share the survey link with everyone. And if you want to share it with your teams, it would be great to have as much data as possible. We're doing it in conjunction with Facebook Gaming, so it will be quite global, the data, and we'd like anyone who's part of the industry to participate.
Kelly, where can you find the survey? How can you participate?
Yeah, I was going to say it's on my LinkedIn. It's on All In Diversity's website, which is allindiversityproject.com, and it's on All In Diversity Project's LinkedIn and Twitter page as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. And it'd be super interesting once you have the data ready, once you conduct the survey, perhaps to share the results from this at some point in the future. That would be super interesting.
Of course, happy to. Thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, Kelly. Thanks for that.
No problem.
One thing I'd like to add. So Kelly, if you just put this on your Twitter account, then each and everyone can already kind of look this up and follow the link, because on Clubhouse it's either Twitter or Instagram, and I'm pretty sure if you just put the link on Twitter, each and everyone can just click the link on your Twitter account, which is already linked to your bio as well.
Okay, fine. Let me do that right now. Thank you.
Awesome. I love Clubhouse for this very reason. It's we can be spontaneous. We can pull people up on stage who can share their insight. It's fantastic. Thanks for this, Kelly. I really appreciate it. And thanks, Karolina, for bringing this up. I want to go back to the subject a bit. Robert, thank you for kind of Bombay Casino. What's the reasoning behind this in a world that is moving digital, and for you especially, who is very deep into the digital space?
It's an interesting one, Pierre. The way we've seen our business develop, and we're very high roller and VIP heavy in that sense. Yes, there is a certain experience which can be derived online, but if you think about it, let's say there's 3,000 online casinos out there. They all use the same games. They all use the same aggregators. They all use the same platforms to a certain degree. It's very hard to differentiate your experience to look after those VIPs or those important players you have from a purely online perspective. We've spent a few years obviously taking our VIPs to events like the World Cup final, the Rugby World Cup in Tokyo, to the Arsenal games and the Watford games in the box, and really, really enjoy developing that personal relationship with the customer. And I think that's the most important part about longevity. And you spend so much money trying to acquire a player, just giving them a bonus or giving them free spins is not going to derive loyalty, because every other man and his dog can do it. So we really focus on that personal experience and want to meet the players and talk with the players and have dinner with them. Now, moving this sort of thought process along, Evolution's fantastic, and they have 600, 800 tables, and a lot of operators have their own little private salon, which is just tables for themselves. But it's still, you can't drive a bridge between that online experience and that offline experience. So we thought, when we launched our live dealer, let's build a land-based casino, and let's probably build 6 to 8 of them around the world, and then we can bring our players in for a weekend and bring our staff in and try and create a relationship with the players, which sort of transcends just a normal digital online email marketing or CRM push relationship with them. We actually want to bring them in. We want to get to know who they are. And what I've found, I go on a lot of the VIP trips with the guys, most of the big punters, they want to know how a sportsbook works. It's nearly somewhat of a Stockholm syndrome. They want to know, how do we do trading? How do we drive our lines? What's the biggest bets we've taken? And they love talking about where they play, how that site works in general. So with Bombay, we're creating the land-based casino, and it's actually going to be, let's call it a white label casino. So Bombay being the brand, but any operator can take our live dealer software and they can also then have their own VIP weekend. So let's say, for instance, Mr. Green wanted to use our software. They could organise a weekend for 20 to 30 of their VIPs, and they could brand the casino as Mr. Green for the weekend. And you could bring along your execs, you could bring along your VIP managers. We've got a hotel, we've got 4 restaurants, and we can have a full weekend of absolute looking after the players while consistently driving our brand and our brand values towards the players. Not over the top, but in a way that people enjoy that brand themselves, but still give them a chance to play their poker tournament with each other, to play some baccarat. And the best part is we've got a live dealer studio within the actual land-based casino. So for a lot of the Asian players, they want to see that this game is real and trustworthy, and the integrity is right there. So if we can bring them into a casino behind a glass wall and say, well, that's where you normally play, and that's your dealer, and that's the cameras, and that's how it all works. Half an hour later, you could be on the second floor of the casino, and you could actually be playing baccarat with your favourite dealer. And then when you get home, you can go back online and you can continue playing with that favourite dealer who you've developed a relationship with. And I think if we're looking at a COVID time and where the world's moving to, those sort of intimate relationships, now obviously professionally intimate relationships, I think that's the most important part of brand building, and it really allows you to sort of win a player's trust, but also then when it's so easy, the cost of switching is so easy in the online age. Anything we can do to develop that relationship with a player and go above and beyond what others do, it's vitally important in the way that the world will move forward, especially in the gaming industry. And look, it's funny, I was talking to someone last week in Kiev, and they said they were on, I think, the SoftSwiss platform, and they just said, we're hamstrung. We can only offer the same thing as 100 other skins. So we have to offer a deposit bonus, because if we don't, someone else will. But how do you gain loyalty from just offering another bonus to someone in today's age? So we're trying to, as I said, transcend that experience and really go above and beyond. And give operators the chance to get to meet their players and have a drink with them and talk with them when the time allows.
Cool. Thanks for that, Tim. So it's all about the relationship building here. That's what we're saying, right? And the seamless transition from online to in person, back to online, that creates that special bond with the player to keep retention rates high and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there's one other point. Well, I just remember here, and I think Petra said this in the Power Hour the other day. It's a cashless casino, so you won't be needing to bring a suitcase full of money to come into the casino and play in the land-based. You'll come in with a Bitcoin wallet and or an Ethereum wallet or a USDT wallet, and that's what you'll use to scan the dealer's QR code to buy your chips on the table. And if you win, you'll receive crypto back. And obviously, we're doing with our Estonian license, it's full KYC and AML on the ways into that casino. But now you can cross borders very, very easily, and for the high rollers, it's vitally important to sort of have that experience. And that's connected to your online wallet, your online casino wallet as well. So just trying to make that a completely seamless experience to make sure the player only has to worry about playing rather than compliance.
You need to tweet about this, Tim, so we can bring Bitcoin back up again to normal levels. Bring Bitcoin back again, Tim.
I'm sure the natural forces will take care of Bitcoin, so I'm not worried about the short-term volatility. Never have been, never will be.
Fair enough. Karolina, I see that you're eager to speak.
No, I just wanted to add one thing that I think some people don't realize, that immediately when you think of land-based venues and going back to normal, I mean, if you think about the casino chips that are in circulation in land-based venues. If there is one place where you really can't get away from, touching things that 1,000 other people touched in a day, is a land-based casino. So I think that's going to be a big problem, because normally in a casino operation, the chips are washed probably once a week. They can maybe move it to once a day, but it's totally impossible to do it sooner than that. And if you do it once a day, you still have them changing hands so often that if there's people still concerned about the virus and some hygienic part of it, which I think a lot of people started to pay attention to, casino is not the safest venue, land-based casino.
That is a good point, Karolina, especially post-COVID. I believe that we'll definitely see the continuation here of good hygiene and so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how casinos deal with that. Rory, feel free to chime in here as well.
Yeah, I think just touching on that, Karolina, I think a lot of them, those chip manufacturers already at the start of the pandemic developed that cleaning system that they literally were, as soon as they go into the sort of pot, if you like, they get cleaned straight away. So I think they've already tried to mitigate that concern from everyone going forward. So I'm sure it's on the cards for the casinos to think about if they haven't already done so. I'll be quite amazed. But yeah, it is definitely something to point out. And I think, just looking at the land-based casino, I believe they're always going to be here to stay. Everyone said when online gaming kicked off way back, and it's going to be a threat to land-based game. They're such powerful machines. Yes, maybe just in Vegas, but they're such powerful corporates that they are going to get into the online space, and sort of they've got that backing behind them. So I think we'll see them stay, and I think they'll certainly start competing quite highly with those online companies which are only online basically. So I think
you see that in London to a certain extent, because Mayfair has been dead for the past months, and you've seen Park Lane Casino shut down partially due to losing the license and also some debt issues, but Ritz has shut down mostly because of losing VIP customers that were coming from United Emirates and Asia and so on. 50 St. James have closed down before, so all the sort of VIP dependent casinos, source of funds documentation probably didn't help, but Lenzhofer is actively pursuing going online, and they signed some contracts, and they're on a big hiring spree to create an online proposition for their customers, but eventually they probably also move into acquisition. So in UK at least this is already happening. Whether that's happening in other places, I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the independent ones will probably struggle, but I think the Vegas of this world will still help out. You saw Caesars buy William Hill, and obviously the other day they're going to close down all the UK William Hill retail outlets, and I must admit there's a couple that I walked past the other day, and they've all shut them already. So they're just focused on the US arm, so which is where they think all the money's going to be. So yeah, and I think the UK is not as buoyant as Vegas is, but yeah, I suppose it's how you adapt and how you adapt to the COVID situation, or have adapted to the COVID situation. We'll see who comes out stronger. So.
Well, thanks for that, Rory. Bogdan, I saw that you might want to chime in here as well.
Actually, I saw the other day some interesting thing coming back to this, what you, Karolina, said, and Rory. I saw one manufacturer who actually come up with the casino chips made from copper. And as you know, this metal is kind of a unique. Simply the bacteria, the viruses, does not have a chance to live on this. So the casino industry, the land-based casino industry, already have looked into this problem and find some sort of a solution. Of course, I haven't seen yet to be used any casino chips made of copper, inside the casinos, but this definitely shows the sign that the industry is aware, manufacturers are aware, and when you have the problem, you're going to find the solution. So I wouldn't be that scared or that worried that this will not find an ultimate solution. We've seen this plexiglasses in the casinos, in the land-based casinos, allowing the players to have the privacy and safety. Also on the poker tables, okay, it doesn't look good, but still gives you the protection, then you see a heck a lot of this disinfection sprays accessible for you. So that is pretty much, I think, on their way. So we shouldn't be that worried.
I know in Vegas there was a system that was being trialed out that if you left your slot machine, it would notify one of the cleaners who have a device on them to go and clean that slot machine. So there's definitely things in play there to sort of help out with that cleanliness, I suppose. So
yeah. So and coming back, if I just make comment one thing which Tim actually said, having the land-based casino, if you are an online company, I think it's a brilliant setup, especially for the customer, and something what has been tested a long time ago. Because I remember back in the 2000 when we also run several competitions for the customers, both for the sportsbook customers but also for the casino customers, and as one of the top prizes, or the prizes which you can win, was actually visiting the office of company X and having the blessed weekend also in the casino. And this model has proved to work fantastic, and I am so happy to actually see that this is continued, and it continued in what is, in my belief, in the right way, because this what you, Tim, said, and this what you come up with when it comes to this setup is actually something what customers are expecting, something what you would be happy as a client to live, to actually experience. And that's the way forward, not only for this forward-thinking businesses, but also if you look on the businesses which are run in the States, but also the ones in the Europe, you're going to see the similar path. I mean, right now we have a big opportunity to kind of rebuild the concept of online gaming, but also the brick and mortar. And that's somehow the great opportunity, and I'm very happy to see that this happens for the benefit of the player, and the loyalty aspect which is associated here is really huge, and the customers appreciate it so much. This is a proven concept, and I'm happy that it's developing still.
And look, just to follow on from that, look, it was not my initial idea. I remember back in the mid 2000s, Nordic Bet, which was sold to Betsson, wonderful group of guys used to run it. They'd have a Nordic Bet Super Weekend in Tallinn, and they'd bring 150 players over, and they'd run their satellites and tournaments, and it'd be a Friday night tournament, a Saturday night tournament, and you'd go out, you'd meet people, all the staff were there, there's drink cards, you'd play your poker, you go for dinner, you go to a nightclub, you come back to the casino, and it was just, I reckon you win a customer for life. It was just the best weekends, and everyone got to know everyone. Everyone's on the same playing field, and this is what a punter wants. They don't want some dark room just to gamble by themselves. They want to get out and socialise, and especially poker, show off and boost that ego. And it's a great way to enjoy the gaming industry and sort of bring a bit of fun back to it and a bit of experience. And you was nearly escaped from that everyday slog of not having enough time to do all your phone calls and your emails and everything. So getting people away from their status quo and taking them into a world where everything's on offer, it just leaves a wonderful lasting impression. So yeah, we're really excited to sort of push this concept forward, and also, license our software and license our land base out to other operators who want to take part and do this as well. And I'm really excited to push this idea and concept forward.
Thanks for that.
Might be a little
last comment by Karolina, then we'll move on to the next topic. So go ahead, Karolina.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that I actually might be a bit controversial, but I sit on the other side of the fence that a visit to a land-based casino is totally not what players want, and I think it depends on the demographic that your players, and it could be the VIP players, and it also depends on the location. I think it's a great opportunity for the US and for the companies that have the sort of both online and land-based operation where they can extend the benefits across both channels, and they can really create this lavish experience and a destination trip. But in Europe, I've run several promotions at Betson, at BetSafe, at Leo Vegas, and we always ended up with packages to go to Monaco, Baden, Mayfair Casino, whatever. No one wanted to go. They didn't care. So I agree that players want to come to events. And when we ran sort of poker tournaments in Malta and for BetSafe, and we had parties at Hugo's or whatever, that was players loved that, but they didn't love the casino bit. They just loved the community bit. So you could as well run this tournament in Betson office, and they would enjoy it equally as much. So I think in Europe, the land-based casinos aren't an attractive destination to the demographic that is younger than 35 plus. In US, I think it's still an amazing opportunity, but I also see it mostly for the Vegas venues and the really sort of experiences where you've got Calvin Harris surrounding the experience, or Omnia or whatever, but not just the casino itself.
But then, Carolina, isn't the opportunity to bring Hugo's inside a casino and make it that kind of wonderful atmosphere?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's about the community and about the event and about all the surrounding bits, not necessarily about the land-based venue. That's just from experience. I remember we never could push those packages onto anyone when there were promotions where you could win them.
Guys, speaking about land-based, speaking about parties, all of these things, it feels very much that we are moving towards a time now that we are looking at events here on the horizon again, and conferences and meeting each other, and all these great things that we've been missing out on in the last year and a half or so. So I'm really curious, as a last topic today, to hear a little bit more what the panel feels personally. Like, are you guys planning to visit your first events? What do you guys expect that event to be? And so on and so forth. Like, personally, like I mentioned in the beginning of the session today, I'm going to Dubai in the end of the month for my first conference that I'm really excited for. So I wanted to kind of open up that discussion a little bit, when you are expecting to go to your first events again, and what do you think that will be? And Alexandre, you've been patiently listening in on the entire call today. Here again, my dark shadow friend. So I would like to start by you just taking over here for a bit.
Hey guys, hi Pierre. Actually, I've traveled a lot during these past months. Talking about Dubai, I've been 5 or 6 times in Dubai. I don't know how many people I've heard going to Dubai lately, because it's the place to go actually right now, because you can go out, there's no restriction. There's a lot of parties and things to do there. and I've traveled extensively in Eastern European countries. I don't know if I'm the right example to follow or to ask. I got COVID last year in June, and since then I've just traveled all around. So I miss the events, especially I moved from the B2C to the B2B, and in the B2B you need to meet people, and what we've done for the past year is just rely on existing relationships and visit people we already know. And I personally do miss the shows. A lot of things happen during these shows, and we really need them. So I hope to see shows coming back. I think there is SBC doing something in Malta in a month or two, and I hope you, Pierre, you're going to pull out iGaming next, and it's not going to be delayed again.
Yes, I can tell you we hope so as well, and we are assuming probably about 90% or so that we'll be able to host iGaming next in October, and we are hoping that that is going to be kind of one of the major events this year. So definitely encourage you guys to check it out, and fingers crossed for SBC's event in July. Although, not to kind of talk down on what could be perceived as a competitor, but we still are under restrictions in Malta, and the indication from the government is not that those restrictions will be lifted in the coming weeks, let's say. So yeah, fingers crossed that they will be able to go ahead, of course. Daniel, if I saw correctly, you are also heading to Dubai in a couple of weeks. Is that true?
I hope so. I was actually there yesterday. I've just flown back. There's still 2,000 cases a day there, but fortunately, everyone gets checked. Well, you get a PCR test on entry. Some people are taking it seriously. I know most of my local friends that have all been vaccinated. So I think if there's going to be a place in the world to do it, it's not a bad place to have it. I unfortunately have not been vaccinated yet. They're very slow here in Spain. If Dubai, I'm hearing murmurings that they're going to start offering vaccinations, potentially even in the airport, because they haven't been vaccinating tourists yet, only locals and people with very good connections to the government there. If they are offering vaccinations, I will be the first person there. I'll be on the very next plane. So look, I'm hoping I get over there. I know there's a lot of talk about the Vegas show later this year. I think it's October, I want to say. I'm really hoping that goes because it coincides with the French Quarter Festival in New Orleans, which is one of the best music festivals in the world. Unfortunately, I missed out last year. So look, let's see what happens this year. I'm not holding my breath, to be honest. I'll probably just take everything as it goes, and the week before I'll book my flight based on the COVID landscape.
Yeah, that's a good point, Daniel. I think as well, like the runway for people to take a decision will be really short. In general, people are not going to commit to sponsorships, to booths, to their participation until there is more security, obviously, both with the conferences itself, but also just with flight connections and stuff like that. I mean, I booked my flight to Dubai like 2 weeks ago, and 1 week later it got cancelled, and it's just been a mess to try to even get there, So yeah, that is the reality we're living in at the moment, of course.
Sorry, Pierre, may I ask you why it's a mess to get there?
Why I'm heading there?
No. Why you say it's a mess to get there? What's the complication?
So with the so being based in Malta, it's not the best place to be at the moment for flight connections anywhere. I went to Marbella, as you know, a couple of weeks ago, and it was like a 17-hour trip there, so 17-hour trip back, and now going to Dubai. Same thing there. We're looking at just layovers and trying to book down a flight that doesn't seem too dodgy. And yeah, it's just not, Malta is just not a good place right now for flight connections in general, I would say.
All right, I got you.
Cool. Bogdan,
Pierre, take a boat to Sicily, and the problem is solved.
Yes, problem solved. Maybe I'll build a little boat or something. Bogdan, why don't you take over here? What's your expectation here for yourself? When do you think you'll go back to your first conference?
Well, actually, I'm pretty careful with having some plans, because obviously I didn't want to stuck in the quarantine, so I'm pretty worried about that. And based on that, I would be planning my events. Of course, there are events like, for I mentioned Amsterdam, which I would really like to attend. But until the situation will need not be solved, and I think I will hold my horses regarding any travel plans, and especially, going for the conference just for the sake of going is not exactly what I'm looking for. If I would go, I would take the max of it, and actually be sure that all the companies I'm having in my agenda to visit and spoke to also going to attend. So it's pretty much based on the decision will be based on the overall situation, not only in Europe, in my country, or in the country where I'm going to, but also looking on the other companies. Of course, it's nice, to attend the first conference, but you need to be sure that it's not going to jeopardize your other plans. And I rather want to stay on a safe side rather or than just go because of the fun and shake some hands, and later on be stuck in a quarantine, or not being able to travel to some other destinations. So I'm patiently going to wait how the situation develops.
That's fair enough, Bogdan. Makes sense. And Nico?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to just see how things will work out. I don't even think about attending a conference as of now, to be honest. So from my perspective, as soon as I'm just going into a shop or just pass by people and just get too close to people, it just feels strange. So as of now, I don't even think about going into a conference. So each and everything just needs to calm down, and then we will see how the conference thing will catch up. Of course, I'm missing those things, especially these times when you just get to know people. You can also talk off the record, getting in touch with newest rumors and how decent these rumors are. So, of course, Clubhouse is a good alternative, but it will never ever change the way how I usually interact with people. But as of now, and as stated, attending a conference is just so far away. But I'm thrilled to actually just see, and fingers crossed things are getting back to normal as well. We will see.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll have to see how the culture develops here. That's what we are saying. You know, will people be eager to meet each other again even more than before, or will people be more reluctant even in the future? Karolina?
Yeah, I have high hopes for iGaming next in October, and I have high hopes for G2E. I actually am talking to quite a few people to try to see who is going. You know, I love G2E. I love the networking side of it. I'm looking forward to the craps game this year to be hosted by Shared Play for the first time. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm the same like a couple of guys here. I try not to plan too far in advance because at the moment I'm just trying to get to Poland to spend some time with my team, and Poland is still on the amber list for UK, so it means we have to take 3 tests to get back. I traveled my whole family because I did get stuck previously, you know, in a no-flight zone, and I can't imagine doing that without my child. So I keep on packing him everywhere I go, and I think that prevents me from most events at the moment. But if it's safer and we're not facing that risk of just, I'm not scared of quarantine, I'm just scared of being stuck in a different country and not being able to get home. If that's not a risk, I am all for events and I want to go to everything that is out there.
Awesome. Hope to be able to see you in Vegas, in other words, Carolina, in October. Rory, last word from you, my friend here. Obviously, iGaming next head of intelligence and information. I hope that you have a good outlook for events here coming forward. But I know actually I saw a word that you posted just today or yesterday that you are looking to go to an event conference in June at Excel Effective.
Yeah, no, thanks, Pierre. Yeah, everyone, nice to be back into the iGaming world after sort of a short 3-month break. So it's nice to be part of iGaming Next. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, there's a in the UK. I think actually 2 days ago we had our first, or it was announced that we had no cases of COVID. So it's quite a big thing, and we're due to have our third round of lockdown lifting on Monday, so you can actually hug in public, which is a big thing in the UK. So it'd be great to have that. So I think we are moving forward. And yeah, as you said, there's a very famous event in the UK called Confex, which is pretty much brings all the industry together in the UK and internationally as well. And they are spearing ahead with their events. So it'd be good to see and attend and go and see how the industry's changed, or how the industry's going to go forward, how they're going to be coping with the new dynamics, I suppose, with everything with COVID. Some COVID restrictions probably still in place. So yeah, no, I think the UK is definitely pushing forward with everything and trying to lead by example, so to speak. So it'd be good to see old friends. And I think, going back to that, the conversation about conferences, we all want to network. We're in a B2B environment where gaming is very, very network style. It's very much about contacts, connections. We can talk as much as we want on Zoom, but actually it's more about those friendships that we create, and also those deals that we do behind, in at the bar in G2E and stuff like that. That's where those real sweet spots are found. So I think it'd be really great once we do go back to physical events at some point, and like I say, hopefully it will be Valletta in October, which I think will definitely be the case. We're getting ahead there and getting there. So, but just touching on the subjects discussed, I think the US market, it's a fascinating market. I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg. I think there's so much more to come, and I think we'll see some more acquisitions happening along the lines, even though we think the majority of them have probably been done so far. States, are posting ridiculous profits after their first year, and that will only continue, I think, as people get more and more involved in online. But I do think there's some synergies between the two, land-based and online, and there'll be a balance between the two at some point. So I'm excited to see what happens there and how that pans out. Bitcoin. I completely agree with Tim's comment before, and the energy or the ESG side, which is funny enough, going to be a topical point when we're going to be talking about it on at iGaming Next online in June. But the ESG element, the investment side of it, and certainly the Bitcoin element and the energy crisis, it's going to be really hard because it accounts for quite a large global energy take up, and I think how we're going to solve that is going to take some sort of crazy invention to probably be able to cope with the amount of energy that's used in Bitcoin. So is that I think it could have quite a serious impact on the industry if they start to be regulated, which I imagine at some point it might be. Over and out.
Brilliant. Thank you for the comments, Rory. Much appreciated. Guys, that's it for today. It's hard to keep these sessions into 1 hour. There's so much to say. There's so many comments. This industry is always a moving target. There's never a dull moment here. So always appreciate people coming up on stage and being open and sharing their views open and honestly. So thank you guys for that. Bogdan, Rory, Alexander, who are still here on stage. Thank you guys. And as always, my lovely co-moderators, Nico and Karolina. We are the best trio ever, so super proud, super happy to do these sessions together. And everyone who tuned in today as well, thank you guys. I hope you got some good value out of this. Michelle, I see that you're in the audience of all the translation. You wrote a really nice comment just now, I saw on Facebook. Thank you for that. That means a lot to us. And to the rest of you, wish you all a great day. Have a good Thursday. Take care of each other. And we will see you here next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.